Today I'm going to show you all the techniques I use to get these results. After this class, you'll never have a hard time doing this kind of editing again. I want to be straightforward in this class. I'm going to explain everything clearly, but I want to be very direct in this class. But before I get started and get right to the point, I want to give you a few tips. I always recommend doing a good capture. This photo is well lit, it has a nice background. And later on, I'm going to talk about the background issue. The first step is to take a good photo right there when you click, so you don't have as much work in editing. I see a lot of people taking pictures anyway and wanting to fix them in editing. That's not the way to do it. If you take the photo already thinking about adding the backdrop, the background, you won't have as much work. In fact, most of the time it doesn't require any work. One thing I've noticed is that gray tone backgrounds, maybe a bit darker, but not as dark as black, don't look that cool. But this lighter gray, especially a bit more at the higher end, works quite well. It is suitable for all the techniques I'm going to teach in this class. That was the short message. Consider editing before the photo shoot, so you don't have to do much work. Now, I am going to show you exactly what happens. I used quite a few layers to do this editing. These two are the primary ones. Let me show you. Look at this and this. See, with 2 layers, I could achieve this result. And then look, the next layer was a preset that I added. I retained the same colors in the ambience. You get me? And I was done. Look, I have labeled here, but they're just details. The same applies to this other background. The same thing, as you can see, is right here. 3 layers. So, I'm going to show you live on how exactly I do this. I have here the unaltered image, okay? That's the image I had already done here, but without any edits. And we're going to start from scratch, alright? Remember, for this to work, for you to effectively follow along in this lesson, it's really beneficial if you have the most updated version of Photoshop. If by chance you see me do something that's not in your Photoshop, it's probably outdated. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that, right? The first step is to add the texture I'm going to use. I'll grab it from my backdrops folder. I'm going to add this one and make it the same size as the image. Okay, the first step is just that. I'm going to disable it here and talk about the techniques I use. Basically, there are 3 techniques that can be used, and one of them is in combination with another. So here I can simply duplicate the layer from the original photo, remove the background and add the texture. You can do this because with the intelligence of Photoshop, it's very easy to do. And I can also do exactly what I'm going to do now. So here's the thing, I've added the image, here's the texture. Now, I select his layer, it's here selected. And I'm going to give here a select subject. Photoshop will identify it and try to select it. In the case here, he couldn't select this part here of the hat. So I come with another tool here, see? Here in the selection area, there's this tool that identifies objects in the image. So here I hold Shift, I'm able to select the hat as well. So now my selection is perfect. And here again, I'm going to turn on the image. Holding Alt, I'm going to click here on Mask. See? And then what happens? I come over here and change the blending mode. Either overlay or soft light. One makes it softer and the other makes it stronger. I'll leave it more smooth like that. Beauty. Notice that it's kind of erased, isn't it? It kind of gets washed out, but that's where the technique comes in. Before I do the technique, I like to apply a blur. I think it's interesting, and I recommend that you do it. And in this case, I'm going to use the new blur from Camera Raw. Control-Shift-A, I open the image in Camera Raw, and I'm going to apply the blur. Here, lens blur. Here we can apply a blur exactly like the one on the lens. This blur here is much better than the Gaussian blur you have there in Photoshop, for example. I always used it because I didn't have this one. Now you will realize that this one is very real, the blur. So it's really meant to simulate as if you had taken a photo with a wide aperture right there and blurred the background. I don't want so much sharpness in the background. The background is just a detail in my image. It's not meant to draw attention. What matters in my image is the person being photographed, not the background. The background is not it. The background is a detail. Okay? So here I'm going to take the brush and complete the blur. See? I want the entire image blurred. Because here is where you control the focus. You focus somewhere and blur elsewhere. See? Here on this slide. But I want the entire image blurred. I've set 15 here and I'm going to give an OK. Look at the difference it makes. Did you understand? It makes a big difference. And now let's continue with the technique. I've already blurred. I'm just going to duplicate the image again. Control J, and I'm going to change the blending mode. Now to a different one. The light or the screen works very well. Okay. So here I'm going to see which one is best. And then I lower the opacity. See? I don't want it to look like this. I don't want to. All right, it's cool. But I don't want that. I want it to simply be there. Without much prominence. Exactly that. Look, and then you test which one looks best. I can even leave it on screen to make it clearer. Done. That's exactly what I wanted. Look at the difference it made. See? Look at the before and after. And now I'm going to give it a Control-Shift-Alt-E, and I'm going to create a new image with all the adjustments that I've made. See? Ready. Now I've got a new image here. I'm going to take this image into the camera roll again, and I'm going to apply one of my presets. And now when I apply the preset, the whole image is going to pick up the effect that I'm going to apply. I've already got a preset here that I've made for these edits that I've been doing here. Did you understand? These edits I've been doing. Demonstration using the backdrops. So I've already saved that edit because what happens? It's an edit on top of an edit. Because the photo already has the editing. So here is a pretty smooth edit. Check it out, before and after. See? Pretty smooth. Modified it here. And we're going to fix these details here that I didn't like. It got kind of greenish. So here we can do that in a few ways. I can come over here in Color Mix and modify in HSL. See? The greenish there. This is a matter of taste. Okay, guys? In my case, I don't want it to be as greenish as it was. I want it to look more like this. See? More yellowish. Done. Exactly that. And here's what I'm going to do too. I'm going to create a mask. That's why I say it's important to have Photoshop up to date. Because if it's up to date, you're going to have all these tools. I'm going to create a mask here, and I'm going to select just the background. And then at the bottom, I'm going to give it a little bit more contrast. Check it out. See? Look how cool the contrast there. Done. That's it. That's all I wanted. Exactly that. And then you go about making adjustments according to your image. Okay. Each image has a different adjustment process. And here I'm going to give it an OK. Seriously, was doing that a lot of work? Look here. Look at how good the selection here turned out. Look here at how well it turned out. See here, this little white one here is from the triangle. Look at how well it blends in with the hair. What if it hadn't matched well with the hair? Here comes another tip. The importance again. The importance of using updated Photoshop. Make use of Photoshop's intelligence and ask it to create a strand of hair. Let's assume that the hair didn't turn out great here, right? I'm going to ask it to create a hair strand here. I'm going to input only hair. In my case, I'm going to input it in English because my Photoshop is in English, and then just wait for it to generate. It might get it wrong, but mostly it'll get it right, and it's going to make a great fill. So there's no way to not work with this today with so many tools available. Look, it was weird here, but just look. There would be another option. It always gives 3 options, you know? So this makes editing a lot easier. It's done, folks. Look how simple it was to do this here. And now I'm going to show you another technique. I also use it. It's basically the same thing. It's a set. It always varies. Combine one with another. Use a bit of one on the other. And that's how you get the result. It's not like a certain thing that you do all your life and it will work. Got it? It's not a rule. You can use a bit of this one, a bit of that one, until you get the result. And that's exactly what I do. Sometimes it doesn't work. I take from one and use on another. Did you understand? The tools are right here for that. So here we're going to use this photo of this Christmas baby. Now I'm going to leave just the image, the size of the image. One thing I like to do is always leave the opacity like this and see how the background is. See? How is the background in relation to the baby? In this case, it's great. There's a tree on one side, on the other, there's this empty field where he is exactly in the middle, so it's excellent. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I select the image, select subject. Photoshop will do the reading. Done the reading, selected the baby. I select the layer, hold Alt, and press Create there, right? And now I change the blending mode to Overlay or Soft Light. Pay attention to the details here. Look how I preserve all the shadows. Using this technique. Here's the shadow. Look how perfect the cutout looks. Look. Got it? Perfect cutout. And if it didn't look good, it was just using the intelligence of Photoshop. And now comes the tip of the technique I'm using. I'm quite enjoying. And this is it. You come here in the image. You see there's a space here. It's not to click on the name, neither here nor here. That's where it stays. If you don't have that space, you enlarge it here so you can see. Suddenly it's here and you can't. So you need to click this void. And it's going to open this panel here, where you are going to make a gradient with the background. Check it out. Hold Alt and drag this pin. You're seeing how it's making a gradient and blending with the background. If I take off all of it, it's going to be really smooth, but that's exactly what I want. I want it to be very soft. I don't want it to draw so much attention. See? There you go. If you think it's too little, you can do the same thing. See? I'm going to use the same technique that I used before, but in conjunction with another technique that I did just now. Understand? So I can make it a bit more shiny. Excellent. Look at this. Do you see how much of a difference that makes? And then you can do what I said before. Apply a blur to remove a little bit of sharpness from the background. We don't want the background to draw attention. We want the baby to draw attention. And another way to edit is exactly like this one. What happens? Remember when I said you can duplicate the image, remove the background, and put the background behind and it will work too? Is that thanks to Photoshop's intelligence? So that's exactly what it is. Look, I have this original image. I have this background which is in the backdrop package. Also very cool, by the way. It's a real setting, let's say. So it's a landscape, not a texture there, which you use in the studio. There's really a setting You understand? Then there's a difference from scenery to texture, right? For a photo like this of an environment, there's the landscape, there are the differences, and then look, I basically removed the background of the image, okay? Here in the Photoshop tool, you can remove it, or you can do it the same way I said. Select it here. I'm going to select it. Oh, and then you click here, so you understand? That's it, that's it. I put the background in, right? You'll see exactly what I did here. Oh, let me go back here. You see? And then what is the technique here? It's already done. Which measurement? But I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it. You're also seeing that there's a little color difference, but there is a color difference from the background image to the model's image, right? So what I suggest, you duplicate the image, the one you removed the background from, and go to filter here in neural filters. There is a filter that harmonizes colors. You see, if it has a little cloud pointing down, you haven't installed it yet. You need to install it. After installing, you can use it. I activate it now and choose a photo. To bring the colors to my image, notice how it processed here and created the atmosphere. Look at the colors. It's as if it was part of this environment. And here you control it. If you think it's too strong, you can decrease it. If you think it's too isolated, you can add a bit of a yellow. You see, it's impossible for me to give a correct number because it will depend on your image. Notice how it makes a difference. I will apply and show you the before and after. See, without and with the setting, why this is interesting. Because when I use a preset and apply one, the colors and the background will basically be the same. Just like the colors, it's exactly what I did. See here, look how everything turned out with the same edit I made. I did the same thing. Took it to the camera roll, applied the preset, and everyone ended up with the same colors. Can you see the issue with the hair here? We were going to have a problem with the hair. But look how Photoshop by itself has already done a very good job, see? It's all here. If he had done the beauty retouch, I did it here, but I didn't like it very much. I didn't like this hair, it's not well done. The first tip, you can do it here. Click on the image, click here in README. And if your Photoshop is in Portuguese, Spanish or English, and you can't see the name of the same thing here, go the way where it is here, read the last and first color, decontaminate. And then make sure not to apply too much, okay? What is he doing here? He's removing the leftovers. The original color in the background was dark, you see? Notice the difference it makes here. Look at this area. See how it removes the darkness? This greatly helps. I'm going to remove it here. Let's continue editing. We're going to fix the hair, which I'm certain is the biggest difficulty people have along with color harmonization. I'm going to create a new layer using Shift-Alt-E and come over here. I'm going to select her hair and ask Photoshop to generate a new layer. Let's see what it does, right? Even though I selected a large area, but let's see. Usually it does well with the hair. You can see that it removed a little bit here, but could have removed even more. Notice how it did the strands of hair very well. You can do it bit by bit if it removes too much like this. Let's just take this part here and then ask it to generate. Look how it's gotten better here, you can see. So it's very, look at this here. Looks like I was gonna do this before this one intelligence, right? There's no way, there's no way. Okay guys, that's exactly what I do. And then Recently, I created some actions where I try to facilitate this process. For example, I'm going to play in this technique one, and you'll see what's going to happen. Hit play will ask me to locate the image I want to use. I'm going to find the image. I'm going to select this one here that has the little house. I'm going to position the size of the image. I'm going to go to growing her up more, that it's for me to see a little more the little house here on the good side. And then I hit the enter and look at the magic that happened. You see, after I hit the enter, he did it all the process I did. It did automatically will work on every photo. No, but at the time that it works, look, this can advance some of your work. You know, he made the selection, he duplicated the image, did technique there, I teach from here. Oh, the opacity has 14. You can increase to decrease, and then you control it as you want. You know, so this here helps a lot, really. There's another technique that he's going to do essentially the same thing. Perhaps he doesn't use the duplicating part, you understand? Let's see what he's going to do here. Oh, he pressed enter and kept going. He did the same thing here. He is only using the blending process, didn't duplicate the image, and did that process where I do the color gradients here. Oh, and it's very soft at the end. Look, you understand? And then there's the other technique. Technique 3 matches exactly as I showed in the editing. It will match. And that process of image duplication with that gradient process that I made the image with. And let's see here, look how the image has the property here in the gradient, see? He did that and also duplicated the image, look how cool it is. And then there's this one, it's good. This 3, it's just for this type of editing here. Look, I'm going to play it here and it's going to ask me to locate the image. I'll search for it. We're going to see how it looks. I left it the size of the image. Make sure to leave it the size of the image and it's going to do the magic here. Look, you can see that he did it. He went through that process, duplicated the image, removed the background. Okay, removed the background, inserted the new texture, the new scenery is right here, and then you proceed with what you're going to do next. Now you'll observe how the hair is. It's going to make that same edit that I did right to correct the hair, instruct Photoshop to rectify it. Then it will carry it onto the camera roll and apply whichever effect you want. Create the atmosphere. You get it? So these are the actions I'm going to leave exactly for everyone who has the backdrop pack to speed things up there. So as you saw, it actually speeds up and works quite well. So that's all, folks. I hope you all have enjoyed the content and we'll see each other at the next opportunity. Thanks.